I definitely had some lingering questions after the video I did on Sophie's motorcade, which collided with an elderly woman who passed away. If you haven't watched that video, definitely go back and watch it, because some of the information in that video is going to be important for this video. One of my first questions was, where was Sophie going? We know Windsor Castle, but was it an official event? Where was she going? The Telegraph is the only outlet that even hypothesizes about where she might have been going. Remember, thought to be going. They don't actually know. Thought and apparently, etc., do a lot of heavy lifting in some of these articles. The Duchess was thought to be en route to Windsor Castle specifically for an evensong. Not gonna lie, had to look up that word. It's basically a service of evening prayers, psalms, etc. So it's not an official event. So my next question was, is there always police protection with the royal family when they are on the move? Because I did see some suggestions that it is only used for specific high-profile events. But from what I can tell, that's actually not the case. The Special Escort Group, the SEG, is, quote, a unit that provides additional security for when members of the royal household are on the move, end quote. On the move could mean a high-profile event or simply a night of prayers. But here's an interesting factoid as well. The Special Escort Group includes armed motorcycle riders, specifically a Honda VFR 1200. It says that while they don't have sirens on because people are so used to ignoring them, they actually have on blue flashing lights. I haven't yet seen it mentioned if the blue lights were on. But also, if a motorcycle is going fast, even with blue lights on, and you're 81 years old and having to step outside of the partitions that are still up from the coronation to even see around the bend, I could see how you wouldn't even have enough time to react. I know nothing about motorcycles, but my father is very into motorcycles. And I can search. I'm gonna make the assumption if it was an SEG motorcycle, it probably looked like this, or was this one, which looks a heck of a lot like this bike. Let's talk about the Baghdad trip, because I also saw people theorizing that this trip was meant as a diversion from what was going on. But here's why I'm not sure if that's the case. As I discussed in my prior video, this didn't come up a lot in the news. The day it happened, there were some stories and then none until she passed. Sophie did recently go on a surprise trip to Baghdad. It may have been a surprise to the media, but it wasn't a surprise to Sophie and her team. I highly doubt it. There have been several instances where a president has made surprise visits because safety. And I imagine that was the thought behind Sophie's visit as well. Again, I think Occam's razor. Is it more likely that they threw together a trip because a motorcycle that was part of the royal motorcade that happened to be transporting Sophie hit a woman? Or has this trip been in the works for quite some time? Advanced teams are involved. This isn't something that's just thrown together. According to the BBC, Sophie was in Baghdad to raise awareness for one of her long-standing causes, championing survivors of conflict-related sexual violence. One of the reasons it was apparently kept secret is because, quote, it was made at the request of the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office in support of the Women, Peace and Security agenda, the palace said, end quote. She was also there to deliver a message of greeting from the king to the Iraqi president. I feel like it would have been faster to just send a card. But if you did that, you wouldn't get this picture. Optics are everything. This is the soft power they talk about when it comes to the royal family. And since Meghan is no longer a working royal, Sophie has really been thrust into the spotlight to do these trips and to show this soft power and commitment. And I have to say, from what I can see, I mean, Sophie has things that she's passionate about and works towards, and I think that's great. One final thing of note. Her older sister says that she was using a safe route, a pedestrian crossing. I think this is also to point out that she wasn't illegally crossing the road or doing something dangerous. But we know even without the coronation panels up, the pedestrian crossing at this junction is something that has been a concern for residents for a long time. It was recently brought up in a local meeting in February 2023, but the coronation panels certainly did not help. She might not have needed to step in the road if they hadn't been up. I'm going to also answer the question that I asked in my last video. Was this incident underreported, or are we just so used to wall-to-wall breaking news coverage when it comes to other members of the British royal family? And I think I come down on the fact that the reporting is just too surface level. There are plenty of questions that still need answering, rabbit holes to dive into. But instead it's just a top line of the fact that she passed away, and probably least important, how Sophie feels about it. No offense, but it wasn't her that was hit.